Good day, beautiful people of the earth. Today we are going to be going over a couple of homophones. These homophones are capital with an OL and capital with an AL. As you can see, I have capital pulled up here, and it says the Temple of Jupiter in Rome, the edifice occupied by the Congress of the United States. Typically, I like to look up certain things just to be clear that I understand what a dictionary is telling me. So this is edifice, a building, a structure, a fabric, for appropriately a large or splendid building. The word is not applied to a mean building, which I think was a typo. I think it means applied to mean a building, but to temples, churches, or elegant mansion houses, and to other structures. So let's look what edify means, because that's where edifice comes from. To instruct and improve the mind and knowledge generally, and particularly in moral and religious knowledge, in faith and holiness. This is where freedom of belief comes in. If you wish to believe that the edifice, the Church of Congress, holds some type of power over you, we have freedom of religion, and you are free to believe whatever you wish to believe. But before you choose to make that choice, let's go over some of these meanings of words, because you wish to make an informed decision. This is what Congress is. You can read over some of these definitions. I'm just going to hit up kind of the basics, what people think of. And that is, British colonies in America which united to resist the claims of Great Britain in 1774, and which declared the colonies' independence. The Assembly of the Delegates of the several United States, organized the government in 1789. In those periods, the Congress consisted of one house only. The Assembly of Senators and Representatives of the several states of North America, and this is what basically people understand it to mean, is this fourth definition here. But my favorite definition is the sixth one, which most people probably do not know about, and it is the meeting of the sexes in sexual intercourse. They tell you right there, everybody always knew the politicians were kind of screwing them, and the Webster's 1828 really spells it out for you. Because I like to follow what the Webster says on where the word comes from, let's go to grade and degree, although it's just going to take us to grade. Grade, a degree or rank in order or dignity, civil, military, or ecclesiastical. A step or degree in any ascending series, as crimes of every grade. And I think it's kind of interesting that they use that particular term as crimes of every grade. So just for people who do not understand history quite in detail, and so people can get a better sense of what is going on here in America, here's the word gentleman. And if we go to the second definition, in the United States where titles and distinctions of rank do not exist, the term is applied to men of education and of good breeding, of every occupation. Indeed, this is also the popular practice in Great Britain. Here in the United States, there are no titles, there are no distinctions, there are no grades, there are no people who are higher in rank or lower in rank than anyone else. Back in the old country, as you would say, you had knights, you had servants, you had serfs, you had lords, you had earls, you had kings, you had barons, you had many different titles, many different distinctions, classifying everybody in their grade or their rank of society. In the United States, the idea of having a free country was that we would not follow those old practices of peership. So here is capital, and the definition of capital with an A, literally pertaining to the head. Figuratively, as the head is the highest part of a man, chief, principal, first in importance as a capital city or town, the capital articles of religion. So this is basically what they wish for you to think about when you're actually thinking about the United States Capitol or your state capital, is kind of these ideas of that's the head of the government, that's the greatest seat, that's the leading power. If we go down here, another definition for capital is a stock. Capital stock is the sum of money or stock which a merchant, banker, or manufacturer employs in his business, either the original stock or that stock augmented. Just keep that in mind because we'll be bringing that up later. So now that we know the difference between capital and capital, this is the United States Capitol where Congress assembles. And you can see a statue up there at the top of the United States Capitol building. And I will show you some other things that are at the United States Capitol. This is the statue on top of the United States Capitol. It is called the Statue of Freedom. Let's look into that for a second and see what the Statue of Freedom is, where it comes from, and what the government has to say about it. So here is the United States Architect of the Capitol, their website .gov. We can see right here it says the knit cap provided to freed slaves in ancient Rome had been adopted as the symbol of liberty or freedom during the American and French revolutions and was usually shown as red. The Statue of Freedom's crested helmet and sword, suggesting she is prepared to protect the nation, are more commonly associated with Minerva or Bellolina, Roman goddesses of war. So if we just Google their name and goddess of war, it says Minerva is the goddess of war and wisdom. She is one of the 12 Olympians and thus is more important than Bellona. And Bellona is the goddess of war. I find it kind of interesting that freedom needs war. That's like war is peace. So security for freedom. Of course, the woman Statue of Freedom also reminds me of another woman statue we have, which is the Statue of Liberty. I just googled this image and you can see a statue of Athena, Lady Liberty, Isis, and then they have Sol Invictus, Roman sun god, and of course they are accentuating the rays that are coming out of the Statue of Liberty's head. So all of this symbolism is very familiar. It all bleeds into one another. And let's see what the US government has to say about Lady Liberty. Ha ha ha, I was just being funny. The government can't actually speak, but they wrote things down for us for their Junior Ranger program. And this is a program that they have at national parks for kids. So this is on the Statue of Liberty because it is a national monument and it is a national park. The torch represents the idea that light or enlightenment is needed to achieve freedom. You have to see freedom or know it exists to achieve it. I think that's really interesting that they use the word freedom there, because it is not the Statue of Freedom, it is the Statue of Liberty. If you look down here, it says the robe represents Libertas, the Roman goddess of liberty and freedom. So that is where we get the word libertas from, or liberty. It is from Libertas, which is a Roman goddess. Go imagine that. And Libertas, or Liberty, has 13 layers of granite stone and the pillar that the statue stands on. What do you think the number of layers represents? Why do you think it has 13 layers? So, just doing a quick Google search, I came across this book, Regulations for the Government of the Navy of the United States, 1896. You can see over here where it talks about leave to visit shore. See shore leave. When you come down here where it says liberty, it says see shore leave. So literally, liberty means shore leave. It's leave to go to shore when you're on a ship. And this is why all of the people who wish to become United States citizens came in through Ellis Island or Governor's Island through the Statue of Liberty. They saw the Statue of Liberty on their way to Ellis Island to be processed because they were documented on Ellis Island, given a birth certificate, BRTH, and then allowed to go on shore leave or liberty. So you can see here that the Statue of Liberty, and again, it was built on top of a fort indicating military purpose, and it's on Governor's Island. They really do not hide what's going on in this country from anybody. They really just put it out there in information that they give to children. They indoctrinate people while we are growing up, but there really just is not any hiding it. So what have we learned today? Capitol is a temple of Jupiter in Rome, or the edifice occupied by the Congress of the United States. Edifice is a word that symbolizes a structure, mainly a temple or a church or elegant mansion houses. Edify is to instruct and improve the mind in knowledge generally, and particularly in moral and religious knowledge, in faith and holiness. Congress is the meeting of sexes in sexual intercourse. So the government acts as God, ruling from a capital, wishing to capitalize, or act as capitalist, to use a certificate of birth. If you wish to look more into this, please watch the last video that I had on Treasury direct accounts. To bank, which bank is something that has money, or a bench of rowers. So this is where the term bench comes from. Bench is where the judge rules from, so he rules from the bank. A company of persons concerned in a bank. A bank is also a bank of a shore. A current flows past the bank of a shore on its way to the sea, which is where we get the word currency. As you can see, the word currency literally comes from the word current, which is flowing past the river. And they do this to keep people working every weekday until they're in a weekdays, that they're so weekend they barely make it to the weekend. And it's all word magic. They sentence us to life sentences using the curses of cursive, and it's all spelling bees. Why can't I be a spelling A? I'm just teasing. And if you don't understand what's really going on, they will get you trapped. It's very, very easy to get trapped in the current or the underflow and to get hung up in the net. So this is how the world works. They literally use the words that you think you know against you. And it all works on your belief. All you have to do is quit believing. Once you stop believing, it doesn't have the same power. You are free to do as you wish. No one can make you do anything. There's no slavery or involuntary servitude in this country. Thank you. I am just conspiracy, and I just wish to conspire with other good people of this planet to leave a better world for future generations than the world we all grew up in.